Hey, I'm Kimber. I'm an oil painter and a lino cut printmaker, and today I'm taking you along with me as I go landscape painting on plein air.
We're here!
Okay, so we have just arrived to Banff, and are we excited?
Oh, incredibly.
So we're going to do Tunnel Mountain today, and it's a little bit of a walk, but that'll be good. How are you feeling about your first plein air adventure of 2025?
I don't know. In the mountains? I think it'll be good.
I'm a little nervous about setting up my STRADA in the wild for the first time, but we will see how it goes. It's going to be fun. I'm like nervous excited. It'll be grand. So we have all of our gear ready to go. We'll take you along with us. Ciao. We're ready. All set. The trek up Tunnel Mountain was, well, exactly what it sounds like. You're going up a mountain. So lots of switchbacks, but also lots of gorgeous views along the way. There was a fair amount of people on the trail. It's a pretty popular hike since you can walk to it right from downtown Banff. I really enjoyed it. It's a great way to get the blood flowing before settling into paint.
All I've got to say, Kim, is we better find that cool tree.
And we even got to spot Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel. We were on the lookout for some cool trees because we had kind of seen a preview, and we did find it.
Right, okay. That's so good.
All across Canada, Parks Canada has this thing. They place these red Adirondack chairs anywhere there's an especially beautiful view. After a quick cookie break, it was time to set up for painting. We had scoped out a few different spots and ended up settling on this one. It's kind of tucked into a loop on the switchback trail, so I mean, in hindsight, great view. Maybe not the greatest location. There's only one trail up the mountain and we were smack between both sides of it, so there was a lot of hikers passing by. Maybe not our smartest move, but honestly the view made it worth it, and I would probably paint there again, to be honest. This was my first time setting up the STRADA in the wild, and it actually went pretty smoothly. It had been a while since I even practiced setting it up, so I was kind of just trying to remember how it went. I did forget how to attach the quick release plate to the tripod, which, so that's kind of embarrassing, but that one's on me. But once I got it sorted, the whole setup was super easy and solid, pretty fast, relatively speaking. I really loved being able to hang my backpack from the hook on the tripod. That little feature added so much stability, and of course sunscreen. No way was I getting burnt up there.
I'm all set up with my STRADA, as you can see behind me. It's a little windy, I don't know if you can tell that in the video or not.
Do I want to do horizontal or vertical? Ooh, it fits so nice. So Trish set up just to my left. She chose to sit and paint. So on the right side of my setup, I had my brushes laid out, plus gloves, my palette, a little garbage bag, and there is the view we'd be painting. I started out by just laying out my brushes and honestly just staring at the scene for a little bit, trying to figure out what I even wanted to paint. Oh, I'm opening upside down. Then I opened up my storage box from Box and Paint. It doesn't fit perfectly on the STRADA. It's like a little awkward, but still really sturdy and honestly one of my favorite tools. And then I mixed up some marble dust and linseed oil for my painting medium, and I'm pretty much ready to go after that's on my palette.
So the tree behind me is what I'm going to try to paint with the mountains behind that, create a little bit of depth.
Also, a side note, this was my first time storing my oil paints in the freezer with the palette, and I was really impressed. They stayed super creamy and workable. I honestly wasn't sure what to expect going in, but the colors were gorgeous right out of the gate. I'm definitely doing that again. So I started off the painting with some rough strokes, just blocking in the tree, trying to feel out the composition, but you can see pretty quickly I totally abandoned the tree. It just felt like too much. Painting that whole scene was kind of overwhelming, especially for my first plein air session of the season, so I decided to simplify, zoom in, take a breath honestly, and pare it back. I felt rusty. Trish and I were both joking that we had no idea what we were doing, which, I mean, to be fair, kind of tracks for our first time out in a while. And at this point, I just gave up on brushes entirely and switched to only using my palette knife. When I'm feeling stuck, sometimes it does help to reduce the options. Fewer tools, fewer decisions, and in this case, it really helped. It made things feel more approachable and intuitive. And then the wind kicked up, and wow, my eyes were burning. So windy. I probably should have expected that. I mean, I did kind of expect that. We're literally painting on top of a mountain, but still, that was always an interesting part. So I'm just kind of slowly building the layers. I'm not trying for representation here. I'm going more for the feel and the mood. I always enjoy painting with my palette knife. There's an immediacy to the strokes that you don't always get with brush strokes, and I think it was really fun to do it on site in plein air. Now with those marks using the palette knife, I felt like it needed some areas of rest. So I decided to do a purple that was a little bit more on the duller side for the sky that would just sit back and give your eye a space to rest. Having areas of your painting where the eye can rest that aren't as visually busy as maybe other spots in the painting is really important. It draws viewers into your painting and allows them to explore the whole piece. And you can really help guide them through the journey you want them to take with your piece through providing areas of visual calmness contrasted by areas with more busyness. Even after all that, the painting still felt like it was missing something, so I went in with just a touch of yellow, just for a bit of contrast. I'll admit, I felt that little bit of pressure, like, am I putting this in the right spot? Is this gonna ruin the painting? But in the end, I was really happy with how it turned out. And then I capped it off, quite literally, with a little bit of white at the top of the mountain, just to gently highlight that area and bring a bit more attention to it. Because, I mean, the mountains are the showstopper. And then it was time to clean up. I found it super handy to just scrape off the leftover paint with my palette knife. My box and paint case made packing up easy. Just stick it together, stick it in my bag, wipe things down, close the lid, and you're good to go. I will say it definitely took longer than the sped up version you're watching, but we got there. We made it.
That was a long hike.
It was good though.
It was good. It was all uphill, and then it was all downhill.
Yes.
One of the best feelings is taking your shoes off. Kind of a full circle moment.
I was way rustier than I thought I would be, actually. I don't know why. I haven't painted in a couple months, but there is something to painting outdoors that's obviously very different than in the studio. You do have more of like a time pressure. You have weather. We had wind kick up that we weren't necessarily anticipating. Yeah, all of it together kind of made for a very interesting experience. A lot of comments from people going by, most of them very supportive, being like, oh, I love your painting, right after I said I thought it was terrible. So very encouraging.
People need to know that artists, while we're painting, can hear everything. It's just the things we've been hearing as people pass us. They're just great. So it was fun. It was different. It was challenging. And Kim finished the painting. I did not. Kudos to Kim.
So I'm just packing up for our plein air trip tomorrow. We're going back out to Banff and kind of reevaluating what I want to bring, learning from the last time we went out. So a couple things that really popped out. One, the wet panel carrier that my dad made me, super helpful, really kept everything solid and didn't move around. Now I forgot to film this part, but I cleaned my STRADA. So I have the acrylic palettes. So I cleaned my STRADA with just some isopropyl alcohol. This one's 70%. And honestly, it works so good. I wasn't sure how well it would clean off the acrylic, but it came off super easy. You can see those are nice and clean now. And you can see my stained, dirty rag. So yeah, that's a good little hack to get your palette clean for your next round. Also, this is kind of fun. I made up a little QR code for my Instagram. When I'm out plein air painting, if people take a picture of the front of my easel, they will have that to direct them to my Instagram, so that's fun. What else worked and what else didn't? I found my garbage bag didn't work all that great. It flopped around. I had my paper towel kind of hanging from my tripod, and so I had paint on here, and then my garbage bag would brush up against it and I got paint everywhere, so that was not helpful. My friend loaned me a little clamp for my garbage bag to clamp to the edge of my palette, and that worked. I think I'll need to pick some up for myself. Another thing I learned, this is my little paint scraper that I got from STRADA, and I found it didn't really work all that effective. It was a lot more helpful to just use my palette knife to scrape off the paint. That worked really well. My apron, have it rolled up. That worked really well. I did not get paint on myself other than my elbow. Thankfully, my friend noticed that I had a big splotch of paint on my arm before I put my sweater on. Other than that though, I did a lot better than I thought I was. I wasn't sure how much paint I would get on myself. One thing I picked up, because of course Trish and I made another art store run today. Today's our rest day, and we went to the art store and shopping for stationery and things like that because, I mean, we're artists. We cannot not do that. So a few things that I got is I got a color pocket wheel. I feel like I have so much to learn with colors. And also when I go out painting, particularly plein air painting, sometimes it feels like all my knowledge leaves my brain. So I thought I'd pick up a color wheel just to kind of remind myself which colors have a bias towards red, towards yellow, and just reminding myself. Trish and I took a little online workshop today with Doug Swinton, who is a local Calgary artist, amazing teacher. We took an online course from him all about colors today, and that was super helpful, really interesting, talking about how there is no gray or there is no brown. Those are color descriptors, and you need to pick either red, yellow, blue, and then purple, orange, and green. There's only 6 colors, and that's what you use to mix colors. So I thought it'd be a helpful reference to have this little pocket color wheel, and then I will also, because who doesn't want to look at colors, I'm going to show you my new oil paints. I basically have a little oil art store, so I can go shopping in my own drawer now. We have Quinacridone Rose, which is Doug's replacement for Alizarin Crimson, which I do love Alizarin Crimson, like the permanent version. So this was really interesting to hear. He said that this is not staining, whereas Alizarin Crimson is. So I'm going to give this one a shot. We have Maroon Perline. I don't entirely remember what he said about this one. I think it was more towards like more transparent, so it works better in shadows. Got Cadmium Yellow Deep because he said it's a warmer yellow, and so it plays really nicely with red. I already have Cadmium Yellow Light. Cadmium Yellow Light leans towards the green. This one leans towards the red, so that one. I got a Chroma Black. I only have one black right now. It's Ivory, and all blacks kind of lean cool, but this one he said is transparent, so it mixes really nicely in with other colors to modify them, so I thought I'd pick that one up. And then manganese. So then this one is manganese blue hue. So I'm excited to try this one out. I struggle with chroma, so I thought it was really interesting how Doug talked about you can only ever go down on the chroma scale. You can't go up. It's impossible to mix a color and go up. So the color straight out of the tube is the brightest it's going to be chroma-wise. And whenever you mix it, it's going to go down the chroma scale, so it's going to get a bit duller. So picking your paints with that in mind can give you a lot more life to your paintings. So all of these are a lot higher on the chroma scale. I'm excited to play with that more because I haven't really thought about it that way. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, tomorrow's a new day. We are going out to Johnston Canyon, hopefully in the morning, and then Lake Minnewanka in the afternoon. So we're gonna get up early, go do that trip, do some painting, hopefully get 2 paintings in, not 4, 2. And we'll take you along though. Bye.
We're going to Johnston Canyon. We had a little bit of a detour because we didn't know the road was closed going in the main entry, so we drove an extra 20 kilometers, but it's a really pretty quiet drive. I've never been to Johnston Canyon, Trish has, so it's gonna be really fun. It's usually packed, so we're going early May during the week, so I think it'll be a lot quieter. Hopefully we can find some cool painting spots, and yeah, I think my intentions today for painting are to slow down and be intentional with my marks and to try to mix my colors using some of the techniques that we learned from our workshop on the weekend with Doug Swinton, and take my time more and not feel rushed. I think that's kind of my main goal today. You made it! It's actually very quiet here, so that's gonna be awesome. So now we're gonna get all our gear and go for a little walk. Breakfast on the trail.
Best way out. Breakfast is always better in the mountains.
Always better in the mountains.
This one's really pretty. Never made it to this one. You should try.
So cool. I don't think I've been to that one. It was so loud.
Very loud. It echoes really loud in that little chamber.
It was so neat though.
Yeah.
On to the next one.
We made it to Upper Falls like we had hoped, and it was just as beautiful as you might imagine. There was still snow on the ground, and we were able to set up right beside this little waterfall, which felt pretty magical. I'm finding that the more I set up my Strada, the easier it gets. I mean, that is pretty much a no-brainer, really, but the twist and lock mechanism on the tripod is super quick, which is great when you're standing on uneven ground, next to a waterfall maybe. I also find painting standing up so much more natural and easier for me, so I've been really loving the easel. I picked this angle because it had a nice mix, water, rocks, just enough space for us to set up without blocking the trail. That's something we always try to be mindful of when plein air painting, not getting in the way of hikers or other people out enjoying the day, We tucked ourselves into this little alcove, people could still pass by, and a few even stopped to peek over our shoulders, which is fun. It's part of the joy of painting outside, being in the moment with others. Nature is for everyone. I did record some on-site commentary, but I forgot to plug my audio jack in properly, so you get silent commentary on the importance of snacks before painting. I used my push-on box and just jumped into laying down the big structure of the rocks. There were so many interesting angles, and I really tried to keep my brush strokes loose and confident, bringing in some rich blues and trying to let the light come through. I definitely felt more comfortable with this painting than I did on our Tunnel Mountain painting, which I think you can even see in the fact that I used a brush for the whole thing rather than my palette knife. And I really enjoyed the movement and the challenge of painting water and rocks. I also really love the reddish brown with the blue. It's always so fun to see how two artists can paint the exact same scene and end up with two completely different interpretations.
So we just finished Johnston Canyon. We ran down the trail because we're running a little bit late to go meet some other artists at Lake Minnewanka to paint, and we have to kind of go the back route, but tons of fun. We had a lot of people stop and observe, which was kind of fun. A couple people stopped to chat, and one was a fellow oil painter, so that was cool. One person was so kind, he asked to take a picture, but I was locked in on my painting, and it totally startled me, and then I think I startled him because I was like, ah! So that was pretty entertaining. I'm pretty happy with my painting. Tried to be loose and slow down my brush strokes and be more intentional. Really kind of place the brush strokes more. And I think that helped a lot. I don't know if you can 100% tell that it's a waterfall, but I like the looseness and the expressiveness of it. So I was pretty happy with how it all turned out. It was a really lovely day, and Trish's piece turned out really lovely too. So all in all, I think a really awesome first painting of the day. And now I don't want to miss my corner. I don't think yet. So one thing that I found a bit challenging was the rocks. You just kind of get lost in them. It was really easy to lose your place of where you were, what you were painting, and then also it's how much detail do you include? How much do you put in of the different rock shades? And the water, same too. It was hard because there was so much spray. The water itself is quite white from all the spray and the foam, but then the base water was quite green actually. Trish used a mix of cobalt blue, cadmium yellow light, and a touch of ivory black, and she made a beautiful blue for the base. I think what I did for the base was, it was a little greeny than was maybe accurate, but I didn't mind it with the rest of the painting. It ended up being ultramarine blue, Indian yellow, I think, and a little bit of burnt umber. Yeah. Overall, super happy with that first outing of the day. Johnston Canyon was beautiful. It started getting busier once we were leaving, so I'm glad we went in the morning.
When the sun came out.
Oh yeah, man. When we were finishing, my hands were so cold. Putting my bags together was kind of hard actually, because my hands were so cold. All of a sudden. It was sunny, but my hands were freezing. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see what happens at Lake Minnewanka. We're going to be meeting up with a couple other plein air artists. That'll be really cool. It's always fun to paint with other artists. They are experts and we're newbies. My biggest intention for this one is just to learn from them. Observe, how do they put their paints down? How do they mix their colors? How do they get their values right for outdoors? So I'm excited to learn how they do things just by watching, really. You can learn so much from observation. And then I really want to kind of get that rich blue that we have in our mountain lakes. I think I would want to try something where I incorporate that into my piece. Try not to overthink things. How would you, Trish?
I want to set up behind them so I can watch them like a hawk.
What are you doing?
Okay, so we're good artists. It's just we come from lino cut and pen and ink and watercolor. So oil is a completely different medium for us. I was having trouble this last painting because I put too much oil in, but it felt like watercolor and I felt more comfortable. But then I'm now my painting's dripping and I'm not able to put the paint on the canvas. So that was fun. I don't know. I want to make more of that green. That was fun. I was shocked that I got it without Viridian green. Thank you, Doug. I had to stop and think. Half the time I didn't, but that time I did.
It's interesting too, for me, this is my second time using my Strada, setting it up. It's been a game changer. I love it so much. I feel a lot more comfortable painting than I did when I was painting on the ground with my little iPad dollar store tablet. So it's been really helpful. But then it's also like, where do you put stuff and set up and take down? I'm kind of slow. Trisha's pretty fast. So it's like also some of that, just trying to kind of get into a groove and a rhythm with the stuff around painting as well, so that when you go to paint, you're not like, oh, where did I put my brush? And where's my medium? And where's my palette knife? Because I forgot my palette knife, so Trish lent me hers. Thank you, Trish. I feel like the more we do it, the more we're going to be comfortable.
Yeah, I pack everything in my backpack in the exact same spot every time, so I can just whip it out, put it back in. And I've also had a couple more trips out than you, so I kind of knew what worked, what didn't, and what I could bring. So we're almost at our next stop.
See you then.
It was such a joy to meet up with fellow artists at Lake Minnewanka, and it's absolutely stunning there. We painted with two incredible artists, Andrew and Janet. I've linked both of them in the description box below, so definitely go check out their work. Their work is top-notch. Andrew brought us to one of his favorite tucked away painting spots at Lake Minnewanka, kind of a little secret, nestled down on the side of a hill. From there we had this gorgeous view, a small island framed by distant mountains. Andrew did mention in the summer, the water level rises and the whole landscape looks quite different. This one took me a little longer to get going. I wasn't sure at first what to paint, but I ended up choosing the mountains and that little island. I love how the greens and blues played together. It was such a calming scene. It was such a gift to paint alongside Andrew and Janet, and honestly, they're so much faster than Trish and I. They are definitely seasoned pros. One of my favorite parts of plein air is just watching the piece evolve, from loose sketch to blocks of color to the final details. And like, look at the color palette. I just love seeing all the colors together. Andrew was so kind, he even snapped a few photos of us painting in the moment. You can find those over on my Instagram if you want to see us in action. And here's the final piece. I mean, everything looks better in the sunlight, right? And yes, my painting claw for the win. I also took some creative license and turned my trees yellow. I just liked the pop of color and I thought I'd add something playful to the composition. And now let's take a look at the other three artists that were painting with me today. Trish's piece turned out lovely, a little hard to see in the shadows. Janet's piece was stunning, so good. Andrew had an amazing piece as well, and he also managed to do half of a second one, so that was impressive. It's always fun to just take a moment and look at your piece in situ before you pack it up. Just give yourself a chance to reflect and pat yourself on the back even. You painted today, that's a win. After I put it into the paint carrier, it was time to clean up. I was definitely the slowest person to clean up as I methodically put away all of my paints and brushes, but Andrew was kind to keep me company as I did so. And then that was it. That was the end of our beautiful painting day. And here's the final reveal. All three paintings from 2 days across 3 stunning spots. Each one holds a memory, a mood, a moment in time. It was such a beautiful weekend. Painting outdoors, surrounded by nature, and sharing it all with a really good friend. And some new friends. You really can't ask for more than that. I feel like you can also see my progression over the weekend as I did more practice and more painting. You really do just have to put in the hours, not just mindlessly painting. You don't necessarily improve that way, but trying to improve something specific each time. And I did have a goal, as I talked about in the video, on what I wanted to improve each day. And I can see that improvement, and that's always so gratifying and exciting to see. So thanks for coming along with me on this little painting adventure. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it inspired you to get outside and create too. Until next time, happy painting.